The other thing is what output do you provide? So now that we've got the plan, we've got the APs, we've got the power setting, there's a number of reports that you can provide. You could do the whole thing, which if you're not actually doing a channel plan and all you want to provide is signal, I would recommend, just doing a one-click report and just doing the RSSI. So as from reporting, just click on one-click report, turn everything off that you don't need, and then just define what you want to provide. So in this case, we just want to do maybe an RSSI. So from that perspective, coverage, signal strength, do we care about secondary or tertiary signal strength? If we do, we want to include that. Do we want the signal to noise ratio to be included? If we define channel interferers, we would probably want to put channel interference in there, the number of APs, noise, all those things. However, if you're trying to just provide a signal strength, minimize that so you're not modifying too much in your plan. The file name, the location, and then what bands and what floors.
Do the report for both and save it in a document format, because then I can have a template Word document that has a lot of other things in there that are canned legal stuff, like a statement of work, the hold harmless, all that stuff can be in one big document. I'll just add this to it. And then change the cover image in the top right corner. You could upload your customer's logo, or you could put the RUCKUS logo up there, whatever you want, to customize the report to that customer. That's a huge differentiator between companies that are doing the surveys. You may have a competitor in there doing the same thing, but they're just running canned basic reports. If you're customizing the survey and customizing the report to their needs, they're going to realize that you spent more time on it, and you're going to look a lot more professional than just running the canned reports that are built into the software.
And then once you've exported as a Word doc and you make those modifications, adds, edits, modifications, then you can turn around and save that as a PDF. And now you've got a template you can go back to, but it's now delivered in a format that cannot be edited by the customer or by somebody else that's downstream from you.
Exactly. You could just export as a PDF, but then you don't have as many editing options to make it nicer. And that's a huge differentiator. I mean, it really is. Any report you've ever turned in school, if you spent the time and did all the formatting right and took some extra steps instead of just typing something out, you probably got a better grade than the other students. It's the same thing here, except you might land a better deal.
Well, plagiarism is the biggest form of compliments.
Was it laziness breeds efficiency too? So
there you go.
You want to check with some SEs that have been with the company a longer time. They may already have templates that you can use.
Yes.
Just ask, what do you use? What's been successful for you? Can I have a copy?
Now, the important thing that we've talked about is gathering the information, right? When you gather the information that you put into this report, the more information you have, the more accurate the report. Obviously, the only way to verify 100% is to do an on-site. And even then, things could change in the environment, so it's not 100%. So you want to have those variances when you do a design that allows for modifications, that allows for margin of error, things like that.
Also, this is not transactional business. It's not like calling Dell, for example, and saying, I need 200 laptops with these specs. You sometimes have to teach Wi-Fi to the customer as you're designing and going through, so they'll understand the benefit of you being there and what you're doing. And it's a long lead time quite often. So by the time you've done all this and turned it in, their needs could have changed when they're ready to pull the trigger and buy. So you have to re-verify that their requirements for the areas haven't changed, because if they've changed over a 3-month or 4-month lead time coming into the deal, you need to come back and adjust this to meet the now critical requirements for those areas. Because if you don't, you'll be designing for what was instead of for what is. And you also want to make sure you ask questions during the information gathering phase. Where are you going to be with your network, your devices, and your applications over the next 5 years? Then you can start planning for where they're going to be. and then they can just be there and not have to worry about moving APs around, buying more APs, changing different things around in the design, because you already built it to support the life of the network rather than their immediate needs. Not that the immediate needs should be ignored, but you should also look at where they're going in the future. So they're future-proofing themselves. If right now they're looking at AC everywhere like this design is, and they bring up, what about AX? You could deploy AX everywhere. It'll be backwards compatible with AC, and they'll be ready for AX when it hits. But you may need to put in different AP types in different areas. Some customers may want you to pepper in the new technology, put AX in the conference rooms and the executive areas, because you never know what guests are going to have. And the executives always seem to get the new toys first. So if you already have the technology there for them, you can put different models of APs in different areas and still have the report and the visualization for all the APs.
And you notice when I did the export of this with the design, there was a lot of gaps in the 2.4 gigs. So what I ended up doing was going back and re-enabling 2.4 gigs on selected APs. And as you pull that down, you can kind of see 2.4 gig is now filled in. There may be one area right there that we need to take a look at. So as you look here, there's that little area right there. Maybe need some modifications based on that, maybe not. Who knows, maybe with 2.4 neg 68 is the design criteria. So you can play around with the map, you can play around with the results. You really need to understand what your customer needs are, what the design goals are, and where you want to fit that. And make sure that your output is not just a doctored up map that gives you what you want to see, but that you're actually providing real information in there that fits their needs, that fits the design, that fits their goals, both short-term and long-term goals.
And if you do have to come back and you're thinking, I could solve this by moving the AP and make 2.4 better, remember that AP was placed and planned for 5 gigahertz. And when you move it, you're affecting your 5 gigahertz plan too. So if you move it and 2.4 looks great, then go back and re-verify that 5 still works. And if it doesn't, maybe you need to leave the AP where it is and turn the power up on that AP in 2.4.